$2,360,000 is exactly how much I earned in my very first year running my growth partner agency, selling one single offer to one single niche. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how I picked that niche, how I built that offer, how I validated that offer on cold traffic, meaning I could sell to complete strangers and charge them 6 figures for what I was selling. And I'm even going to show you exactly how I would do it again if I was starting from scratch today. Now, for those of you who don't know me at this point, my name is Jacob Levine, and in the last 3 years, I've built 3 different service-based businesses. And in that time, I've made over $7 million, and I'm currently sitting around $500,000 every single month. And every single business got bigger and better than the last because I got better at picking a niche, choosing an offer, and validating that offer before scaling it. That's exactly what I'm going to show you here in a minute. And I'm going to do all of this using AI so we can do it super simple. You don't even have to really think about it. You just have to follow along in this live build out that I'm going to do right here. And at the end, I'm even going to give one of you the exact niche and offer that I built, and you can just go and copy this inside of your own agency to go make way more money using exactly what I've done here. Okay, so let's get straight into it. And before the tactical stuff, I just want to help you understand why this is so important. Okay, if you were the best fisherman in the world, you had done this for years, you had the best equipment, the best rod, and you go out one day and there's just people all around you and you can't seem to catch anything the whole day. You go back, it's just terrible. It's one of the worst days you ever had. Versus that same fisherman, or even better, an average fisherman, someone who doesn't really do this, doesn't really care, super casual, maybe just goes out with the lads on the weekend, goes fishing, and there's no one around him, and it's just catch after catch after catch. And that is the difference between choosing a niche that is saturated and that everyone else is in, which is a red ocean, versus choosing a niche that no one is in, and that is called a blue ocean. And I'm going to show you step by step here how to take whatever niche you're in now, or if you haven't even chosen a niche, how to choose one that is in a blue ocean and create that blue ocean for yourself so you have almost no competition and can just go and pick the best clients to go and work with so you can go and make as much money as possible. Amazon may sell to everyone now, but they started with books. And Facebook may work with everyone now, but they started with college kids. And even Alex Hormozi, who started with gyms, now sells to everyone inside of private equity and his books. Okay, so where you start isn't where you end up. So even if you've got a niche now, it's not going to be where you finish. Or if you haven't got a niche and you're waiting to find this perfect niche, or you're worried about choosing a niche because you don't want to miss out on all these other opportunities, well, that's also the same reason why you're not as far ahead as you want to be. And I witnessed this firsthand with my own agency. Okay, I spent 3 years building an agency and got it to like 50, 60K a month. And I didn't niche down because I thought I'd serve everyone, I'd just be able to help everyone, it won't be a problem, I want the money, I was young at the time. And all that happened is I spent all this time trying to figure out how to deliver for all of these different clients, and they would pay me completely different fees because I was relying on referrals to bring it in, so they could be any niche, and then I would charge them whatever they had so I could make that much money, right? And it just created all of these problems for me. And as soon as I niched down, I went on to make 2.3 million in that next year. So 3 years making like 500,000 over the course of a 3-year period versus 2.3 million inside of 1 year. And I've gone on to do much, much more than that now. And that's because I got hooked up on choosing this perfect niche when there isn't a thing of a perfect niche. It doesn't exist. There just isn't one. And the only thing that's preventing you is you. You have this fear of missing out on all of this money that's coming your way. But actually by niching down, not only do you get more money, because this thing happens that when you work in a niche, it's so much easier to get people's attention. But at the same time, it's going to make it so much easier for you to actually go and deliver in the future. And that's why it's so important to do this and just make that decision and decide. And that's what I'm going to do with you here today, is just force you to make a decision and choose the niche that's going to make you the most money. And that is what I'm going to show you. So to do that, I'm going to dive into AI and then we're going to come back. I'm going to show you how all of this works. All right, so now we're inside ChatGPT. I'm just going to walk you through this process with me. Okay, the first thing you need to do is just copy and paste that prompt that's in the description, and we're going to change the industry. Now, for those of you at home who are thinking, okay, well, what industry do I start with? If you're brand new to this, choose something you enjoy. Maybe choose a hobby or something you're interested in. For example, for me, it's marketing. Or choose something you have experience in, maybe from a previous employer. If you already have clients, think about the clients you get the best results with. Think about the ones that you make the most money or they make the most money from. And if you're deciding between a couple niches at this point, just run the same thing for both niches, and at the end you'll have an answer of which one to go after, just based on the criteria I'm going to give you here in a second. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is basically break down the industries that I care about. Now, there's two things that I'm going to start with here. If I was doing this again, I would be looking at marketing, because it's the thing that I care about. It's the only thing that interests me basically in this entire world. So I'm going to stick to it and continue to dive into that. And the other thing is I wouldn't want to go after marketing agencies. So I kind of want to move away from that. So I'm going to run this for B2B marketing tech companies, because I know a lot of people out there want to do B2B SaaS, and I think this will be helpful, as well as it's something that I understand pretty well. And then we're going to just let ChatGPT spit out everything for us, and you can see all the different sub niches and the description of that. Now, as ChatGPT is finishing that up, let's just go open a doc here, and we will be able to just basically break down these niches here live, okay? And I'm gonna give you the set of criteria as we talk through it on how I break this down. So I'm just gonna go through this, and you do the same thing, and just go pick the sub niches that you're interested in or make sense, that you have some sort of level of interest. Just start there. That's criteria one, it's the level of interest, right? Now, marketing automation to me is very interesting because of the rise of AI, okay? So I think that this is gonna be a big one. Lead generation, basically every single business struggles with lead generation, so I take that one. Content marketing, yeah, I think like it's with the rise of kind of influencer marketing in general and personal brands being so important, I think it's worth putting this in. Email marketing, I like it. I think this is still a very, very strong potential niche. And then we go down account-based marketing, SEO, PPC is a bit outdated, analytics and reporting. Maybe if you've got a company like Kairos, but like I don't think there's too many of them, so I'm not super bothered, to be honest. Webinars and virtual events, like I think webinars aren't doing the most hot right now, so it's not something I'd be looking at. Influencer marketing, again, like not bad. Sales enablement, just based on my own experience with sales teams, definitely want one there. AI chatbots as well, that's probably a good one as well. So essentially you come out and you have a ton of different niches that we have here. And you can see how quick that was. That's just basically going through and picking which ones sound even remotely interesting to work on, okay? So from that, we basically got 6 different sub niches that we can go after and choose. And then what we wanna do is run it through this criteria that is gonna allow us to just to figure out which one is gonna be the best, or maybe which 2 is gonna be the best for us, right? So the first thing we wanna do is then go and understand from a criteria perspective. We've obviously just done experience in it. Next one we want to do is the TAM, which basically means how many people are there to go after. So with this, all we need to do is make sure there is enough companies to go after. Because if you go after a niche that has like 100 companies in it, you're going to find it extremely difficult to sell to enough people to go make any significant amount of money. And I want to make you as much money as possible through this, and I want to make as much money as possible selfishly. So when it comes to this, just go choose an industry. Like literally, you could just go down and click chatbots, go to AI and say, how many chatbot companies are there in the US? And this should just spit back and tell you the exact amount of chatbot companies. If it doesn't, maybe change the phrasing, go to Google, go to Apollo, whatever it is. You can see here, 1,800 chatbot companies. And I'll just go in and I put this in here, and then I go do the next one. So for example, let's go to marketing automation, same thing, just wait, 4,700. Okay, see how easy this is? Like, takes 2 minutes. So just go do that. I'm gonna save you the time. I'll put it in at the end once I've gone through all of this. Now the next criteria we wanna have is the multiplier on exit. So this essentially means when you go to sell a company, how much is your company going to be valued at based on its yearly revenue? So for example, a marketing agency, it may be a 3x multiplier. For a SaaS company, it could be 10x. Now you can find that out again just by going to ChatGPT and typing what is the average multiplier on a industry exit, and it will just spit back some sort of average for you. Good news is, because I did a tech company here, I know that the multiplier is going to be anywhere from 5 to 10x as a multiple, which means I hit this criteria just based on the fact I chose a SaaS company to begin with. The reason you want to do this is typically the founders who are investing in an exit or a sale are more willing to pay you upfront in cash, because they know they're going to make it on the back end. So when you work with people who are focused on their exit, they're less needy for the cash. They're less worried about cash flow as they are about how much money they make on the back end. And that means how much money you make them is multiplied by 3, 5, 10x, depending on the multiple, okay? So that's the next one. What we want to do after that is basically make sure they have profit margins. So you don't want to work with like e-com companies that have like 10% profit margins, because they're never going to be able to pay you the money that you want to get paid, and you're not going to be able to charge a revenue share from that, okay? So for example, if you went to a tech company, you're probably going to know that a lot of them operate 30% margins because the tech is so leveraged. So you want to be able to just choose a business that has decent profit margins where you can go in and still charge that revenue share or profit share, so you can still make as much money as possible. It's one of the reasons why so many people love info as a market, because it's got good profit margins, but it actually doesn't hit basically any of the other things that make a good niche. So while it has great profit margins, it doesn't actually hit the stuff that you should be looking at, like for example, a multiplier on exit, which means they're so focused on cash, they're not going to pay you 50,000, 100,000 a month, which is what you should be aiming for when you bring on these clients, okay? Now, the fifth one that we have here is the market sophistication level. And essentially, what this means is how competitive is an industry. This is why I didn't want to go after marketing agencies, because it's so competitive. There's so many people. If you're scrolling through social media, you probably see someone targeting a marketing agency every couple of minutes, every few ads, right? So when you go after these sophisticated markets, what you have to understand is you're just making your life harder. It's like fishing in that red ocean, okay? And what we want to do is choose the industries that aren't being as targeted as much, or just aren't quite there yet, which is why one of the reasons why I say go for old school niches. And when we chose our niche, doing further education market, is because they were so unsophisticated. No one was targeting them. They didn't even really understand online marketing and how to do it. So when we brought all of these insights in, there was such a discrepancy, and we took advantage of that efficiency gap that we had by going after an unsophisticated market and just using pretty basic marketing within that industry, and it worked extremely well for us. And essentially what we want to do at this point is we want to go through every single niche that we've laid out here, okay? And you just want to set it up and see if they hit all of these different criteria, okay? So marketing automation, yes, there's a level of experience there. Yes, we have a decent target market. It's a little bit small. Ideally, again, you want that 10,000, but this will do. Multiplier and exit, again, just like go do a Google search. I know, for example, tech companies to 5 to 10x. The profit margins, again, it's going to be an AI search or Google search. That's probably going to be like 30%. And then you're going to have market sophistication level. Well, to be fair, like depending on who you're selling to. So this may come from just talking to people when you actually get on these calls with these clients, because if they're selling to old school businesses, the sophistication level is going to be extremely low, and the marketing automation itself is going to be fantastic for it, okay? And I would just go in and I would just look at that, and I would be thinking about this as I go speak to them. Now, there's a few other criteria that you can look through, and I always think about when it comes to signing new clients, which isn't necessarily industry basis, but it is client focused. So the additional ones there at a client level are, do they have a sales team? Because if they don't have a sales team, then it's likely the founders in sales, which means that's going to be a bottleneck for growth. If they do have a sales team though, are they used to selling on cold traffic? Now, of course, this depends on the offer that you're running, but for me, example, Facebook ads or cold email, anything like that, it's cold traffic, which means that this team need to be able to sell to that. Otherwise, again, I'm going to be limited on that. And does the client have case studies? And how long is their payback period? And what I mean by that is like, okay, well, if I'm spending $1,000, how long does it take for them to get $1,000 back? And then also, what is their LTV? Okay, so LTV basically means lifetime value of a customer. If they're spending $1,000 and they make $1,000 per customer, they're not going to be able to make any money. They're just breaking even. If you spend $1,000 but you make $10,000 per customer, great, you have a 10x. And if they get paid that $1,000 back in the first 30 days, great, now you've got a business that can really go and scale. And these are the criteria you want to think through when it comes to how aggressively can you scale a business. So industry level is actually not as important as you think, okay? You just want to choose a sub niche that hits these few criteria we have here, but then it's at a customer level, a client level, that you actually need to understand, Are these things in place that allow you to consistently go and sell and scale up? I promise you, if you ever had it where, for example, the founder is stuck in sales, you're going to be extremely limited to how much you can make, even if the industry and everything else is perfect, okay? So what we want to do, go through a market level and make sure that every single industry has that in place. And then you want to go through a client level later on when we get to actually speaking with the customers. I'm going to show you how to do that. So from here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause it quickly, go put all the criteria in here so you can see, and we can break down the individual niches. I'm going to pick one together here. Okay, so I just finished up and tidied everything up to make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to run through every single sub niche one by one and show you how I think about it based on what we just used and show you how to practically apply it, right? So first thing, marketing automation overall hits all of the criteria. Only one that's slightly low is the total addressable market. Everything else seems good to go, so I would be interested in running that. When it comes to lead generation, again, the total addressable market is slightly smaller. You want that close to 10,000. Multiplier is good, gross margins are great. Market sophistication, because they understand lead generation, typically they are more sophisticated because they're inside of the game. So to be fair, that's probably the one negative as well, but it's good enough to test for sure. And you'd be able to build a very profitable business in this. Then you have content marketing. Content marketing, great TAM, great multiplier, great margins. Sophistication is high, to be fair, because they're used to marketing. So again, this is one that I would definitely be interested in. Now, when it comes to sales enablement, you can see here I didn't even finish it. Reason being, the total addressable market is only 600. It's just too small for us to actually go do anything with it. Same thing down here for chatbot, just too small, 1,800. And same thing for email marketing, although to be fair, I would potentially double check this, as 1,200 email marketing companies seems a little bit low. So I think there's potentially more that AI and Google can't find. Maybe just do a quick Apollo search to find out. I also threw AI in here, even though it was an original one. Reason being, it's a booming industry, and I think that there's a lot of money to be made in there, especially when you can catch a trend like this. So this is one that I'd be interested in, but if I was to do it again, rather than just trying to choose AI as a whole niche, I would go back to that original prompt that we did up here, and I would essentially change B2B marketing tech for AI and allow that to spit out a ton of different sub niches for you that you can go and choose from, okay? So this is good, but it's not really the one we want to go for. Now, when it comes to these three, to be honest, like the one I'm slightly concerned about is lead generation. The reason being is that lead generation is their bread and butter. That's what their company does, right? And if you're a growth-based marketer like myself, you're gonna find it difficult to sell into other companies that focus on lead generation because they're typically already good at it. So I would mark that in orange and potentially not use that one based on where we are. And we're kind of left with marketing automation and content marketing. Now, these are two good ones, but how do you actually choose it? Like, how do you pick the one to go after when you're in a situation like this and you've got kind of two decent options based on hitting all of the criteria here, right? And that's the thing, this is where we have that client level criteria where we actually need to go and speak to these people, and that's how we're gonna go figure it out, okay? And the problem is, unless you can actually predict the future, you don't know what the best one to go is. And that's where you end up stuck in this state of paralysis where you're not doing anything because you're kind of choosing between these two ones, but you can't actually make the decision. So instead of that, I just want to keep things moving forward. And to show you how all of this works, just give me 2 seconds to actually draw this out for you. All right, so what we want to do next is what I call the shotgun system. And this is essentially how you can go and test different niches, different offers, different angles to find the thing that's going to be the most profitable for you to run. And this is something that is extremely important for you to understand as a marketer, because it doesn't just help you, but it helps all of your clients. And here's how you set it up, right? This is the niche that you're going after. This can be every single person within that, okay? We just define that as marketing automation and content marketing SaaS companies, okay? They're the 2 ones we're going after. What's gonna happen is, as you're going about this, you're gonna start just testing different angles, different messaging, different offers within this market segment. And to be fair, some of them are gonna suck. They're probably not gonna do much, and it's just gonna be a bit of a waste of your time when you do it. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter if it takes you 5 attempts, 10 attempts, 20 different messages, because I'm gonna show you how to do this here in a minute to make it extremely easy for you. Because one of them that you get is gonna hit extremely hard. And that's the thing that's gonna allow you to go and scale, because this is when you actually validate your offer. And this is where the messaging in your offer matches the customer and you start to get this market message fit that is going to attract all of these cold people. And that's how you start to figure out that cold messaging that we were talking about here in a minute. And to be fair, there is one more point about validating an offer, but I'll come to that here in a second, right? So with this shotgun system set up and in your mind, let's show you how to actually step-by-step go and do this within those niches that we just came up with. So let's just dive back in. I'm going to show you how to write all of these angles so we can get testing as quickly as possible. All right, so at this point, we're pretty much set up just to start writing all of these angles and get testing aggressively. But there's one more thing I want to talk about in the niche level before we dive in. It's going to allow us to make sure we're always speaking to people who have money, because it's one of the biggest pain in the ass when you get on a sales call. It goes great, you get to the end, and they're just flat broke and they can't afford you no matter what you pitch and how great your offer is. They just can't afford it. So I want to stop that now, because then we can write the messaging a little bit more targeted around that, okay? So the main thing here is location. You want to be US, Canada, and potentially UK. If you are, for example, from Spain and you speak fluent Spanish, I actually recommend you going after the Spanish market. There will be less companies, but it'll be so much easier for you to get results. It is ridiculous. Like if you find a company that's working in the UK or Canada or America, just basically duplicate that in a different market that speaks a different language and you'll go on to make a hell of a lot of money. Okay. Now, company size, you ideally want 10 plus employees. This means that they typically have at least $1 million in revenue coming in every single year to pay those employees, and allows you to actually get paid yourself and what you're worth, okay? And the final thing is the job title targeting. Now, when it comes to this, you essentially just wanna go and target the CEOs, founder, maybe managing director or co-founder, for example. The reason being, they make the decisions. They're the head honcho, right? But if you're really going after massive companies, you can go after like CMOs, sales directors, or anyone else in that kind of business that makes those decisions to work when it comes to a sales and marketing level, or whatever offer you're actually running at this point. Okay, so that's just 3 more characteristics you want to have when it comes to this, because this is going to go and dictate the targeting that we're going to use. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the details about how we do that. I'll link a video down below where I show you the exact outbound system and how to set all of this up for yourself within your own business. You can just go follow along that. I'm not going to get into those details, but that system is what we're going to use to go and target these companies, okay? So now let's go get into writing the actual scripts themselves, because this is the fun part. This is what everyone enjoys, right? Now, to do this, I want to still use AI to take this a level deeper. So you want to go back to that original conversation you were having. So what you want to do is just go copy the next prompt you see in the description into here and change this part to whatever the problem is that you're trying to solve. So, for me, it's sales and marketing, but if it's for a client's business, for example, it may be on video, or it might be on SEO, or it might be on whatever it is. It doesn't matter, it applies the same. I'm gonna focus on what we've been doing. Just hit enter, let AI just spit out everything that you need here, and it's gonna give you the exact pain points that we can use inside of the messaging. That's going to allow us to go and create angles like that basically in a couple of seconds, right? Now, here's the script I want you to be testing for this, and this is the easiest one I found to go and test different angles. And to be clear, what I mean by an angle is essentially some sort of market desire, some sort of pain point, some sort of goal or guarantee that someone wants to achieve, and you're going to put that in front of them and see which ones they're biting at. And this is why it's so important to be going after those blue oceans, because it gives you a bigger market to go for, okay? So I'm just gonna copy and paste the template in here. Again, you can find that below. You can just use this in your own campaigns now. So here's the script we wanna run with, and I'm just gonna walk you through the high level thinking behind it. Hey, first name, just curious, do you hate pain points? You can see this is a pain-based angle we're going after. The reason I ask, insert some sort of reason, do you mind if I share some more information? Okay, so let me just share what this actually looks like and how we run it. Okay, so marketing automation, integration with other systems, complexity in setup and high cost. So I just copy and paste that down here. And then I would go to as well the content marketing, and I would go content creation bottlenecks, measuring ROI and content saturation. I put that down here. This thing gives you a baseline to work with. Now, as you can see, there's not a ton of pain points. If we want to test 5, 10 angles, you can go back to AI and say, can 5 pain points related to marketing. And just again, allow AI just to give you everything that you need to go and make these angles and scripts, right? So when it comes to this, literally all you need to do is take the pain points that relate somewhat to your offer and put it into there. So now AI is giving us this as well. You can just, again, just literally copy and paste this into documents, so you just don't have to keep flicking back and forth. If you want more, these aren't enough for you, again, just do the same thing. You can just literally ask ChatGPT to give you every single pain point you could possibly imagine, every single desire, whatever it is. It doesn't matter, okay? So then all you need to do is go and switch this, and you change the pain point to whatever makes the most sense to your offer, okay? So for example, just curious, you hate complexity in your setup. Okay, again, same thing, complexity in the setup. The reason I ask is, how would a consistent stream of, let's say, consistent qualified calls. So for example, right, let's go with the automation company. Just curious, instead of do you hate, how are you managing to scaling up? What with complexity, customization in client setup? All right, obviously spell correct it. The reason I ask is we help marketing automation. Let's say you're doing a lead gen offer, right? Book 30 qualified complexity. Just recently, if you have a case study, we helped X, right? So essentially, and this is just off the top of the head, right? But hey, Naeem, just curious, how are you managing scaling up? Down here, scalability, with all the complexity and customization in client setup or client onboarding, for example, right? So this contains a couple of different pain points you see here: scalability, customization, and complexity in setups. So what this means is essentially we're hitting on those different pain points. Then it's the reason we ask is that we help insert sub-niche category. You can even add the position if you wanted to, like CEO, founder, leader, for example, to get offer, okay? Now, again, this offer I just took off the top of my head. I don't recommend doing appointments, but here's the important thing. When it comes to this shotgun testing, you need to test different pain points, different desires, and different offers. So you don't know exactly what your clients want at this point because you haven't spoke to them. They may actually just want qualified appointments. They may want to build a pipeline. They may want just leads. They may want consistency to start relying on referrals, or maybe they just want cash and revenue growth. Well, guess what? All we have to do is test it, which means you can just switch this out for loads of stuff, right? So if we go to offer, it's like to add 100K a month within 12 months by building some sort of unique mechanism. So for example, it could be to add 100K a month within 12 months and stop relying on referrals to grow their business. Now, here's the thing. All we did is change the offer, okay? Or we just changed the outcome, the desire. It may not be 100K a month, If you're targeting a company doing 5 million a month, they don't care about 100K a month. Okay, so you have to understand the relevancy of who you are talking to, and you have to adapt that. So it could be to increase revenue by 30% over the next 12 months by building cold acquisition system that stops them relying on referrals. Again, for example, from a pain point perspective, it could be, hey, Naeem, just curious, how are you currently growing? Or, hey Naeem, are you stuck just relying on referrals? And essentially what we're doing here is we're just going to cycle through pain points, okay? So the same thing, you go down here, there's tons of different things we can do. We basically just go and cycle through all of these different pain points, and you can literally write hundreds of them. You can also do more generic ones, like I said, like with the relying on referrals. It's a very normal pain point that people struggle with. And you can just cycle through these pain points and cycle through these offers to actually go and find the thing that's going to resonate the most. I'm going to show you how to continue to tweak and optimize that in a minute, but then what we can do at the end as well is you can, once you've signed off, you can even add PS, we also guarantee X. So what this does is it allows you to figure out what the market cares about right now, okay? So let's go down and do another one here. Let's say keeping up with the trends, right? What you do is you would want to go find the trends. Now you can probably use ChatGPT for this. In fact, we definitely can. Let me just show you exactly what this looks like. All right, so to actually go and find the trends, what I want to do is just change this, like I said, marketing automation companies in 2023, 2024, and let ChatGPT give you the trend that is most impactful. So rather than using a generic one where it's like, oh yeah, it's keeping up with the trends, and no, it's like, okay, what are those trends? Okay, so it's like using AI. Hey name, just curious, how are you currently using AI to reduce complexity? You can add, if it says generative and predictive AI, you can add that in there if you want to reduce complexity in customer onboarding. Okay, and so the reason I ask is we help marketing automation companies use AI to generate just like appointments with that ideal ICP so that they can streamline their onboarding and reduce complexity. We just helped, if you have a case study, if you don't have a case study, like just leave that. Mind if I send more info? We work on performance. Now here's a sneaky thing you can do. For example, when you say you work on performance, if you're running any kind of like performance bonus, like you have a revenue share or you have a pay-per appointment or whatever it is, this will work. You don't need to specify that you also charge something. You can just add this, you'll get more people on a call from it. And you can see how quickly that is. Like we have 4 different intros there. We have 3 different offers there. And that took all of what, like 5 minutes, if that, okay? And this is what you need to do. And you just go and replicate the same thing. Then you just do the same thing with the content marketing, okay? So let me come back after I've written a couple more and I'll talk you through some of the variations I've got. And then we're gonna actually test these as well to see which ones are gonna work the best, and we'll double down into whatever works the best. All right, so I just went through and finished about 5 different scripts for both of those sub niches. I just wanna walk you through the copy individually so you can actually understand why I've said specific things and how I got to that point, even though I don't really know much about this industry. So if you already know an industry, this should be specifically much easier for you to just go ahead and do this. But if not, again, you can just use the AI side of things. So marketing automation SaaS, here name, just curious, how are you managing scaling up with all the complexity and customizations in client setup? Again, this is taken from the pain points directly from AI. We just put that into here. The reason I'm asking, here's the offer. We introduced the offer after the pain point. We helped this case study, Jacob Levine Marketing, cut down their time to onboard a new client by 2 weeks and increase their profit margins by 20%. Okay, this is just a different way of talking about revenue, profits, etc. End of the day, you're still making them more money. That's what they want to know. It's just phrased towards them. People who struggle a little bit more with their profit margins will be more interested in this rather than just talking about revenue. Again, when you're talking about the shotgun analogy, it's finding different ways to say the same thing because we're just repositioning the offer slightly. And by doing that, we're going to find the thing that's going to be the most profitable way for us to enter any given market. Okay. Then what we do, add a actionable guide. Hey, would you be interested in a document that breaks down how we did X? If so, reply yes, send over. Now, one of the biggest things that I found when it comes to getting cold email campaigns to work, especially if you don't have a case study, which we talk about here, is actually sharing something valuable to them. Okay, because if you don't have a case study, you have to build trust another way, because otherwise you're just some name that popped up in their email. Like, why do they trust you? Why should they care about you? So you can overcome that by providing value up front, which one of the easiest ways is a document or a video. I personally have had better success with a document because people just like to read. They don't have to sit through this whole long video of you rambling on. But if you're specifically good at like actually being on camera, then you can use that, for example. Now, without case study, same thing, pain point up here. Are you relying mostly on referrals to grow your revenue? The reason I'm asking is that we've been reaching out to a few people inside of this space, put the space in here to share, again, this actionable plan, which is the lead magnet, so they don't have to have pain point by installing this thing, okay? This is something interesting, super casual way to end it. Again, another one. I found your company on here, just a different intro. Nothing really changes there, just a different way to kind of break the ice. I just recorded a quick video breaking down how a marketing automation SaaS like company could get 20 to 50 leads every single month. Now, this positions it as almost like a case study, but it's not. It's talking about their specific company, so it makes it more personalized, more relevant to them with a different outcome again. Same thing, just different outcome. And this is another thing, for example, that we found that's been useful If you emailed me, I'm never going to reply. I'm never going to take the time to implement anything you said. I wouldn't read the document. I wouldn't watch a video. But if you told me to send it to my team and have them implement it because it's that actionable, I would go and do that, and I get someone to go scope it out. So as you go up in the ranks in terms of the size of the company, this can be something you can do to actually get in the door still with these kind of companies, even though the CEO or the founder doesn't actually want to listen and reply to you, okay? And then again, leave it pretty open with a case study here. How are you currently using AI to reduce the complexity in customer onboarding? So this again comes from the pain point inside of ChatGPT and the trends inside of ChatGPT. So AI is the trend. This is the pain point. The reason I'm asking, we helped this case study cut down the time it took them to onboard a new client in 2 weeks and increase their profit margin by 20%. Again, just a different way of actually getting it in. This side of stuff, if you're, for example, helping someone with go-to-market at this point, it may be that you actually just help them optimize that point in the process with them, and then you also obviously add additional revenue to them. So it depends on what your offer is, if this would work or not. This is something that we would do when we go join a client. We go, cool, what are your case studies? What's your offer? How do you onboard clients? How do we get more out of what you're already doing? And that's how we would help someone to actually reduce the time it takes to onboard someone. And then 5 here, another one without a case study. Curious, what is your approach to reducing the customer acquisition cost while maintaining good lead quality? The reason I asked, we help this type of company use AI, again, a trend that people care about at the moment, generate high quality leads, streamline their sales process, and significantly reduce the cost to acquire a customer. Put together a doc outlining the process. Similar thing, just talking about it in a different way. Instead of talking about growing revenue, talking about decreasing the cost for that while obviously getting them the outcome of leads and also sales process. You could do booked appointments, you could do qualified booked appointments, you could do demo calls. And for example, in SaaS companies, demo calls are a big thing rather than booked appointments or sales calls. That's what it's called. So you can use that language to help them, right? And then with that case study, just curious, how long is your sales cycle at the moment? Again, super casual. The reason I've asked, we've helped this company to decrease their sales cycle length by 40%, put together a quick doc outlining it. You can also spin this with a case study if you have a case study showing something similar. Again, it's the same thing, just means you're helping them sign more clients. Like that's the whole point in this. So you can see every single one, all it is here's a pain point that you have or may have, plus here's an offer related to said pain point that is around growth, even if there's other things included in it that allows us to go and scale up, okay? Now, what I'm gonna do is instead of walking you through all of these as well, I'm actually gonna link the document below where you can just access this document and you can go read these for yourself, and you can go and basically rip these and turn them into your niche and your offer and just run them yourself, or just run these as yourself. So here's the thing, what's gonna happen from here is we're gonna go set these campaigns up in instantly.ai. And again, in the description, there is a link where you can go and see the full setup guide on how you actually go and manage this and set this up. You're gonna put all of these campaigns in and targeting, obviously, either content marketing SaaS companies or marketing automation companies. And we're gonna send all of these campaigns out to these leads and we're gonna batch them. And you're gonna batch them in typically 250 leads just based on open rates. It gives at least a sample size of 100 people to go after. When we do that, what we're looking to see is what are people responding to? What do people care about? Out of those 10 emails that we've written, what ones are the ones that people are replying to positively? Obviously, we don't want the ones where people are telling us to fuck off. We want the ones where people are like, yeah, let's book a call, let's chat, I'm interested, send me the document. When we have that, that means we're onto something. That is called market message resonance. Okay, and this is level 1 of this. Now what you want to do is you want to start that sales process where you're going to actually take those replies when people are responding to you, you're going to email them back, book them in for a sales call with that person, and you're going to run them through a process where you're going to have a discovery call, you're going to ask them a number of different questions, which again, I'll put in the description for you to just go through and you can just take them and use them. And your goal is just to start to understand the company. You want to understand the industry that you're in, understand, is this an industry that makes sense for you, okay? And then we go back to that criteria that I said originally in what actually makes a good company aside from the industry. It's, do they have a sales team? So you want to ask that question in that process. So are they used to selling on cold traffic or is it just on referrals? Do they have case studies? What is their LTV? What is their churn rate? What is their payback period? What does that actually look like? What's that sales cycle length? And when we have all of this, we can start to see from those 2 niches that we have, which one is actually going to be better for us to operate in. Because it's firstly, leading indicators, are people replying to it? And then it's when you're on the sales call, do they meet the criteria of a good client? And then once we have that, ultimately it's like, are you making money? Like, do those close? Like, if they close, that's an obvious sign that we're close to having product market fit, which is massive, because that's the thing that takes companies from doing like, 6 figures a year to 7, 8, 9, 10 figures every single year, purely because they have product market fit. And that's what all these big companies go and find that allows them to scale up as aggressively as they do. And this is level one of this, how you actually validate what we've gone through to do this, okay? But here's the thing, right? Let's say you send these campaigns out and you just get no responses. Don't immediately panic and think this niche isn't gonna work, or this isn't for me, I can't do this, you need to change the niche, it's none of that. It just means we need to continue to cycle claims. I only did 5 claims there. You could go do 10 claims, 20 claims. You will find one that works at some point. And I've had it with clients where we've come on, they don't really have like a real clear quantifiable offer that makes it easy to sell when it comes to selling on cold traffic, right? But what we did instead is we wrote literally 20 different campaigns and we tested all of them to slightly different ICPs that they could target in different angles. And one of them ended up being a home run where all of the others got like 0 positive replies over the course of a month. This one ended up getting literally like a 5% positive reply rate from cold traffic, which produced them millions of dollars in revenue. And this is what it can take to go from unprofitable, not making any money, not being able to sell anything, to a consistent stream of new high-paying clients, purely because you chose a niche, built an offer, and then validated that offer on that cold traffic that now allows you just to scale. And once you find it, all you have to do is double down on that one thing. Meaning, if you find one reply that comes in, it's good. You're like, this message is great. Cool. Now we can just take that and spin up even more variations of that. We can tweak the languaging, tweak the offer within that to find even that next level of scale. Or you can just continue to spend more money on ads, continue to send more messages, and allow just to rinse what you found and make as much money as possible. Because when the sun shines, make hay. So literally, if you find something that is working, just double down and make as much money as possible, as quickly as possible from that one individual thing. So now what I want to do is actually go into Instantly, set these up and launch the campaigns to the target market that we defined earlier. And then what I'm going to do is show you what it looks like and how to actually optimize and maximize this shotgun system that I've told you about here, okay? So we're gonna dive in and I'm gonna show you what this looks like. All right, people, so I have about 10 minutes before I have to shoot to the airport and catch a flight. So I'm gonna do this real quick, show you everything that I did and how I set it all up, how I ran the test, and then what I'm gonna do from here as well. Now, to be clear, this is about 1 week on from the previous test. And at the same time, I have also been doing this on a completely random business account. This is just on the growth partner emails. It is fake emails, is fake case studies. So it's like, if this is up in rough and ready, this is like, let's just test as quickly as possible. What you guys will be able to do if you check out the video in the description to set this up properly is you'll probably be able to increase these results again, okay? So just wanted to make that disclaimer up front before we get into it. Now with that said, here's what I did. I set up 4 campaigns, 2 for the automation SaaS, 1 in the UK, 1 in the US, and the same thing for the SaaS content marketing, 1 in the UK, 1 in the US, and I ran those for a week, okay? Now I haven't actually sent that many emails and tests. You see here just about 1,500, give or take, rough math there. And then if we dive into it, I'm just gonna show you what this looks like. So this is the SaaS content marketing. We have the 5 emails that we wrote in this document down here, placed into here, the same subject line. So we're just testing the body copy. Okay, you can see each email is in here, just quick one so you know I'm not changing anything there. And I just sent that out. Instantly is automatically going to spin that up and test and divide the leads across that. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna just go into the Unibox and find the positive responses. Okay, and this is that next step. So the first one we see here, this is based on content marketing SaaS, and it's obviously pain point relating to the referrals and growing revenue. So if we go to the content marketing SaaS, and there we go. This is one of the ones that works. So we just highlight that in green, and we go through, we look for the next one. Okay, same thing. Here we've got another interested one. This is obviously a case study based one that we have here, but this is another pain point that's interested here. And this is a document. Okay, so we go find the marketing automation one that we did there, and we find there we go. And we can just highlight that one in green as well, so we can refer back to it in a minute here, and we keep going and see if there's any others. So there's one more here that we have. Again, hi John, actionable video. So again, lead magnet based style rather than just fully direct. And 20 to 50 qualified lead relying on referrals. So again, the relying on referrals is one of the biggest ones. Okay, so we have here without case study. So from that, we've done 2 without case study. So just firstly proves the point that you need a case study to do this and you need to be successful. 2 out of the 3 that got positive responses so far have not had a single case study. Okay, so you don't need it to go and be wildly successful. Yes, it can help. I mean, I did it, by the way, with a fake case study that had Jacob Levine marketing in it, right? So you don't even need to overthink this. And go through, and at this point here, this is not us, this is too far in the past, right? So overall, we got 3 positive responses from that. So if we go through these, what we can do is we can now start filtering them down, take this to the next level, okay? So if we go to Marketing Automation SaaS, what I would then do is I would take script number 1 and script number 3, and I would then go and create an additional 5 variations of this one script, okay? So I'd be looking at what was the angle and what is the offer and how can I adapt and change this, all right? So let me just show you an example based on this one here, right? So you can keep the intro the same, that's not a massive problem. And then you can come in and you can change actionable video to basically being whatever you want. So since we have the pain point here, which is relying on referrals, what I would want to do at this point is change the 20 to 50 qualified leads every single month. Because there's something about this pain point that hit because we've already seen it twice, right? So we've seen it, 2 positive responses mention this. So there's obviously something in here that is working, and this is also a pretty easy sell if you're going to sell some sort of growth services, because they actually need to get a channel that is working outside of referrals or word of mouth, right? But if we come into here, we can basically change the offer at this point to see what they are going to relate to the most, okay? So different offers could be, you could call it demo calls. It could be revenue growth. It could be that you do qualified sales calls. It could be that you are doing a done for you lead gen, and many other different variations of this, or performance only. Again, what I mentioned earlier, you can say we work on performance only, and then in the sales transition them to a actual fee plus performance fee. On top of that, typically you won't get much pushback from that either. We also have a couple others here. We could also break down the revenue growth into a percentage of revenue growth. You could also do MRR, you could also do ARR, right? So from this, already you have like another 7 different angles for the offers that will better speak to potentially what they actually want and ultimately want to do to grow, right? So what I would do is I keep almost the same thing, and I would basically change it. So from here, so I go, okay, here, could go ahead and get offer without relying on referrals. Okay, same thing, keep everything else the same since it's working, just put that into there, and that's it. You have another variation you can go and test. Now, at a point, you are going to want to go change the way you're writing the actual copy itself, because yes, this is obviously worked to some degree, but you can improve the offer by potentially changing, the actionable video, breaking everything down for them to something else, right? And to be clear, this video is just going to be a sales letter where you break everything down, you give a bit of value up front on your process and how that works. But long story short, what you should be doing once you get a winning angle is take that angle, go and spit out another 5-10 variations of that, and ultimately test to get the best possible offer and most relevant pain point that you possibly can. Because the pain point, what it's going to do is get them to trust you, get them to think, okay, maybe this person can actually help me because they understand the situation I am in because it's relevant. And then the offer, you're cycling through the different claims and what people's desires are deep down. That is going to allow you to basically find a thing that's going to work on cold traffic at scale. And I would go do this for every single one that has worked so far. And I would go back into Instantly and I would literally reset up all the campaigns. I'd take the winning ones because I want to keep that as your baseline now. I'd go test another 5 to 10 variations of each one depending on what actually came up. And I would go send a ton more leads. I would go scrape another like 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 leads in total. and just basically send that out to the market and see what the market comes back with and how that looks, okay? Now, obviously, if you're sitting at home right now and you're like, okay, well, I don't have a case study, then don't do the case study one. Leave that one. And then go down to your content marketing SaaS one that we have here, and then go and take this one. Same thing, you can see that we have the relying on referrals. Then what we want to do is just change this body copy. We don't even really have an offer in here, okay? So in this one, same thing, what I would want to be doing is actually going and taking the pain point of referrals and word of mouth, like, cool, what are the desires that these people want? And then putting that in this body copy and letting the market tell you what they actually want and what that your offer is going to be, okay? And when you've done this enough times, right now we don't have a clear winner, okay? Because we've got one on the content marketing, one on the marketing automation SaaS. So what you want to do is take both again, redo this process, but using the angles that are already proven, and again, let the market tell you which one's going to work. After you do this another time, you should see one is going to be a standout winner, and that's the one we're going to double down into to really maximize your offer on cold traffic to make you as much money as possible. Now, with that said, once you've done this process, all you really need to do is go and sell. And I could sit here and give you some watered down version of how to go and what questions to ask and how to sell, or I could link you to an in-depth training that I did where I break down step by step everything we did and the entire sales process that we use to go and close dozens of 100K deals over the last 24 months, including companies like Microsoft and Jaguar Land Rover and the Adecco Group with this process. And I break it all down step by step and give it to you for free. You can literally just go and copy this and plug it into your agency to go and sell more right now. And it's also, by the way, how you create that valuable document you just saw me presenting in those emails right there. That's going to basically take a cold prospect and turn that into someone who's interested in your offer and ultimately goes and pays you money for your offer and pays you a lot of money for it in the process, okay? So go ahead, check out the free video and I'll see you there.